Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Tuesday, January 7th, 2014. First today, I want to mention this kind of in passing because I've been talking a little bit about whistleblowers and determining what's going on with Snowden, Greenwald, so on and so forth. Rand Paul wants light prison term for Snowden. And this is from RT. Now, at first blush, most Liberty people are going to disagree with this. But I'm wondering if, just rule of law was followed, if there was a law that Snowden broke, if he could be given a light sentence, and maybe even a commuted sentence, be put immediately on probation or whatever, maybe that would help him get out from under some of the pressure that's been on him to give his story to Glenn Greenwald. If he could be out in the open more, maybe, and be in the U.S., to have a light prison sentence, maybe it would open doors for him to be able to more freely share what he knows. Just a thought. But I can't jump on Rand Paul and say this is absolutely wrong. I think in one respect, if we insist upon following the rule of law, then we need to follow through in every aspect of what we do. And of course, whistleblowers who have done absolutely nothing wrong should be completely exonerated. But there's kind of a balance there. So maybe Rand Paul is making an effort to make it easier for Snowden to tell his story. From Blacklisted News, AT&T thumbs nose at net neutrality with sponsored bandwidth scheme. And I also have an article on the same topic from TheVerge.com. Sponsored data. AT&T will now let companies buy out your data charges for specific videos and apps. So this doesn't sound good. If AT&T is your internet provider, you can vote with your dollars and get a different internet provider. And in the old days, when the internet, like in the early 90s, there were just little ISPs in communities. I happened even to live in a college community where the county had its own volunteer internet service, and it was actually very good, and I used that service for many years. So maybe we can do some grassroots ISPs again. And of course, the lines have to run through the phone company as it is now, but and maybe John McAfee will get his completely alternative internet working soon. We can hope for that in the future. While we are still dealing with the current internet, you might want to be aware of this on Facebook. From RT is a YouTube video. Facebook can track your unposted thoughts. And what this is if you're on Facebook, you type something in, you think better of it, you decide not to post it. Well, Facebook still records that, even the things that you decide not to post. So maybe you want to keep a little text notepad program open and type your Facebook stuff on that and decide if you really want to go with it. And then when you have it crafted to your satisfaction, put it in the Facebook status box. Just a thought. And I have a couple articles here from Blacklisted News that pertain to the same issue. The first is J.P. Morgan pays $2 billion to avoid prosecution for its involvement in Madoff Ponzi scheme. And the other one, RBS pays $600 million for manipulating interest rates, but big banks are manipulating every market to the tune of trillions of dollars. And that is the point that I want to make, even about J.P. Morgan. That amount, that 1.4 billion figure, that sounds like a lot of money to us. And Of course, it is a lot of money. But in the overall general scope of this kind of money, yeah, trillions of dollars, these little, this 1.4 billion, the 600 million, they're not even slaps on the wrist. I mean, there may be like a sideways look, they're not feeling any pain because of this. And it's dismissive, really, to reduce the kind of crimes that these people have committed to this kind of compensation. And they're laughing at us, guys. Sorry. But, big banks are manipulating every market to the tune of trillions of dollars. We need to keep that in mind when we're seeking restoration for some of these crimes. And from RT, I just found this interesting for whatever reason. Drone crashes into Battleship, causes $30 million in damages. So drones are not the ultimate answer for the military. And if somebody says that they are, just remind them of issues like this. Of course, it's not that human error couldn't cause $30 million in damages, but, drones aren't perfect. And 2 sailors were injured here, too. So, just a heads up about drones, and we all know that they're not a very good idea. And this is just some evidence to that fact. Here from We Are Change, the reality of satanic ritual abuse pertaining to the military. And there's some specifics. This is not a new story. This is information that most of us have probably already had. Nevertheless, keeping it in mind is helpful. And we hear that there are battles raging in the military at the upper levels, that some have even died. There's a struggle for righteousness and justice within the context of the military, the U.S. military, the Pentagon. So ultimately, I think that I just wanted to include this as kind of a call to prayer, that we would be in prayer for the good guys in the military, and certainly be aware of the struggle that is raging there. From RT, there's just this little blurb here. Federal judge rules Chicago's prohibition on gun sales is unconstitutional. And since it's brief, I'll read it. Chicago's law prohibiting gun sales was deemed unconstitutional Monday by a federal judge. Chicago's ordinance goes too far in outright banning legal buyers and legal dealers from engaging in lawful acquisitions and lawful sales of firearms, U.S. District Judge Edmund C. Chang wrote. He delayed the ruling to allow the city to either appeal the decision or to begin preparing new guidelines on sales short of a complete ban. The law was adopted in 2010 after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the city's ban on gun possession. The ordinance allowed the transfer of firearms only through inheritance. So, at this point, this is good news. Something else to pray for, that this decision won't be reversed by a higher court. But if this stands, maybe some gun dealers who were put out of business can begin to file civil suits against the city. Hey, maybe some people whose family members were killed with illegal guns, who otherwise would have been able to protect themselves with legal guns, can begin to file some civil suits against the city. And, we vote with our dollars, and I think we also can up the ante and apply pressure on some of these evil and dishonest and corrupt institutions by filing civil suits asking for millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. And this is a story that's really close to my heart. Ian Garland is a good friend of a good friend, and I have, over the phone and through letters, become friends with him as well. And he really was a scapegoat, as this says. Fast and Furious scapegoat speaks out. And Ian is in a process of being vindicated. And if you have a minute, you think of it, please pray for Ian. He's still living in a halfway house, still being treated on probation like he's a criminal when he really has done nothing wrong, and was completely framed. And actually today he is going to speak with the Mexican Consul General. I believe he may be in that meeting right at this time. So prayer for him is certainly appropriate, and I know in the scope of eternity is deeply appreciated by him and his family. And I'm ending with this today from Mario Murillo Ministries. I'm calling it good news. Political correctness gets a double whammy. And he has written here about a Detroit police chief who states armed citizens deter crime. Well, that's pretty obvious when one looks at the statistics, and it's great to see and hear of policemen and sheriffs who are standing up and stating the obvious, that, yeah, armed citizens deter crime. So with that, thank you for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.